Hello and welcome to my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like this video, and thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you to my day ones, twos, and threes. Thank you to all my new subscribers that's coming in. That means well. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you all, and welcome, welcome, welcome. This video is for entertainment and educational purposes only, so everything is alleged, some is not. And the Fair Act use is in my description box, y'all. So let's get to it, y'all. First, I want to say happy Thursday, y'all. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day, and please stay safe and stay aware of your surroundings. I say this every day. I want to get into this Shanquella Robinson case, y'all. And the reason why is because, y'all, yes, I fell asleep in the tub. I fell asleep in the tub, but something happened when I fell asleep in the tub, y'all. It's the weirdest thing, and I call it my Mo 3 moments because this happened with Mo 3, okay? I fell asleep, and when I dozed off, I saw a storm. It was like I woke up and I was in the middle of the storm, but I was not in the storm. I was standing back watching the storm. And in the middle of the storm, I started seeing faces. And the faces were Cabo 6, y'all. And my day ones, twos, and threes, y'all know when I have this moment, my hand be shaking and stuff like that. That's all it was about. It was weird. It was really weird. And, it left just like it came. Why would I see Cabo 6 in a storm? I found that odd, but at the same time, I had to sit back and I had to think about something. When I was doing the Mo 3 case, and I'm still working on it, y'all. Okay? Ain't nothing coming up right now. We did a video on this page about the perfect storm. And Mo 3 was in the middle of a perfect storm with everybody around him. It's like the Truman Show. And for me to just even see something like this in a dream or whatever it was, a vision or whatever, it made me want to go back and go down that rabbit hole a little deeper, y'all, and just see if it's something we're missing, especially now when everybody's world just got turned upside down because everything that they were believing that was coming from Mexico, United States, is saying that it is not true. Okay? The autopsy report comes back and everybody is stunned right now. So for me to see this, it was like, okay, wait a minute. On this page over here, I like to see things from different angles. And we didn't go here. So I'm going to go here now. Okay, y'all? With Cabo 6. We are going to go in the angle of Cabo 6 right now. In Mexico. Especially with what just happened. Okay? Now, one thing that we have to definitely have to talk about is the U.S., versus Mexico right now. Okay? And when you think about U.S. versus Mexico right now, okay, y'all? She looks so pretty on this picture. And we're going to go deep, y'all. So, no disrespect for what I have to say, even about Shanquella, okay? No disrespect. We need to get down to the bottom of things, okay? So, U.S. versus Mexico. Why would either one of these countries have to cover this up Ask yourself this question, because we got to dig deep right now. Now, U.S., the only reason that they would have to cover it up, y'all, is Cabo 6. The connections that Cabo 6 has, you know, we have found out if this is all true, because, you know, people be copying and pasting, y'all. We don't know. But what we have found out, you know, was that Elise, one of the Cabo 6, has police officers in her family. Not to mention that were, you know, in the army and all kind of stuff. So is it safe to say that she had connections, y'all? Okay. Mexico. Why would they want to cover this up? Ask yourself this question. What do they have to gain by covering up Shanquella being taken out? Some people go over there and have a good time and come on back. Some people go over there and they don't come back. They come back in a box. F that. So, what would Mexico gain from covering this up, y'all? Ask yourself this question. What would they gain from covering this up? The one thing that comes to my mind is the organ harvesting stuff that they're doing. They're selling, you know, they're selling body parts, y'all. This is something that's going on in the world, period. Some people, they give up their body parts, you know, in different countries because they low on money. So people will talk them into, you know, selling a body part, and, you know, it helps their family out. People that's really, really poor. But some people don't have a choice. We know that now. Look at Kendrick Johnson, Jaylani Day, Ryan Singleton. Even there were rumors that not Shanquella Robinson, but the female that was in Chicago, the female in Chicago that was in the hotel, they even said that there was something missing off of her as well. The one that was in the freezer, y'all. Is this a possibility that this is what they wanted? There is connections, y'all. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. A lot of these kids and, you know, young adults that were taken out, y'all, it was listed as they were suffocated. Some of them were suffocated. This was listed as. Another thing that's normal in these cases is their insides is pretty much liquefied. So you cannot find out a lot of information on the autopsies reports. Okay, y'all? There's a pattern. Okay? My question is right now is, Mexican authorities right now, did they know or did they not know? That's my question right now. Did Mexico issue a warrant on someone with a false autopsy report? Could this all be, you know, small circle of people that work together, and an opportunity come up and they take it. I want y'all to think about something. Let's go over a few things. So Shanquella arrived on the 28th. She gets there. She makes it there before Dejanay and them do. And one thing about Shanquella, we're going to talk about everything right now, y'all. Everything that can come to our mind, we have to talk about it and try to figure out what happened. Okay? So, she's in a pool, and it's safe to say that Khalid, it looks as if he's the one that's recording her in the pool. And she has on a birthday suit. Everybody know this is a known factor that, Shanquella loves to show off her body. So she don't mind being in a birthday suit, y'all. Every time you see her, she got on something really skimpy or in a birthday suit, okay? The first thing came to my mind about this is if Shanquella is very comfortable in a birthday suit around, everybody pretty much, okay? What is she like when she gets up in the system? We see how she act, how she talked. Where y'all bees at? She was loud. She was kind of wild. She was, she was the life of the party. Okay? And she didn't mind being in a birthday suit. So what was she like, y'all? Was she wild? Did she get jiggy with it, y'all? Was she been sipping too much? And the reason why I'm saying this is because, let's go here, y'all. Let's go here. Now, they say, this picture right here, when she was at the villa, and this, pause session took place, y'all, they said that Dejanay, you see the footage. Dejanay walks up on her. If this is Dejanay, because you can't hardly see, okay? But it looks like the same body shape from old pictures, other pictures of Dejanay, because she got a lot of pictures with her legs out. It does look like her body frame, okay? But a little smaller. I'm just saying, y'all. But her legs is, I'm just saying, this is kind of like how her body is built. She walks up to Shanquella and she say, I'm tired of your stuff. She tired of it, okay? Which means that Shanquella been pushing some buttons, okay, y'all? Now, the thing that's interesting right now that we have to talk about, okay? We have to talk about the elephant in the room. Everybody say that Shanquella Robinson didn't have no clothes on, y'all, in this footage. She didn't have any clothes on. Now it's coming out that not only did she not have on any clothes, but she wasn't in her own room, y'all. Now, the reason said being, they said that after the pause session finished, they said Shanquella went back to her own room. Because we all thought over here that was Shanquella's room. Because if she don't got no clothes on, she got to be in her own room. What's she doing in somebody else's room? Okay? Now, y'all got to think about this. They had a wild night. They had a really, really wild night, y'all. Okay? They played games and drank. Okay? Remember that. Shanquella was saying, drink up, y'all. Keep them drinks flowing. Drink. Okay? Is it safe to say that everybody was wasted? Wasted, y'all. Now, I'm going to ask y'all this question because for some reason it's taking me here. Because I know how people are for their birthday. Okay? When people's birthday come, they want to hit something, y'all. Okay? Now, we done found out that Dejanay is the one that paid for this villa and stuff. This was her on her back. Okay, word on the street. She was the one that handled everything. So if she handled everything and people were saying there was an extra person there, then was that somebody that Dejanay was, her piece that she brought for the Mingle Tingle for her birthday with? I mean, she paid for everything, so it's her choice if she want to bring somebody. And my thing is, I'm wondering, did she bring somebody that got some connections to? Okay, because everybody's saying that there's a missing person. The other paperwork, which we can't believe everything that came from Mexico, because a lot of stuff that came from Mexico was lies, y'all. And we're going to break down all of the lies that came from Mexico, too. Okay, we got to think about a lot of stuff. We got to think about what Nazir was saying, that the truth going to come out. We got to think about all of this, okay? So, let's think about this. If Shanquella, and this is a possibility that this could be Dejanay's room. I'm just saying. Did Shanquella, after this partying, wild partying, and then everybody waking up from, the night before, and still with a little buzz, excuse me, y'all, still got that buzz going. You know how that little hangover plus be going on and you still be feeling it? Is it a possibility that Shanquella woke up in the wrong room, y'all, with somebody else she wasn't supposed to wake up in the room with, y'all? I'm just saying. Huh? Did Dejanay go to her own room and find Shanquella in there with somebody that was supposed to be there with her, y'all? I'm just asking. Is that a possibility? And she come in that room, and the argument, it got to be some words, or it could just been like what we saw, or it could have been a little bit more before they turned it on, and people could have known that she woke up in the wrong room with somebody else's piece. Okay, y'all. Now, either this, I'm gonna tell y'all this, it could be Dejanay brought somebody else with her, or Dejanay was mingling and tingling with one of the other Cabo 6. So is she in the room where, I'm just saying, y'all, think about this, okay? Think about it. And is this a possibility why everybody stood back and just watched? Did they feel like Shanquella kind of deserved this? Because she got caught up with the birthday girls mingling and tingling her, y'all. And I don't know what she liked, okay? Because we don't know half of the time, y'all, okay? Did she get caught with her pack of whacker that she brought down there, for her to have? That was her birthday piece. I'm just saying, y'all. And did everybody feel, that's could be why everybody's standing back like, you at Shanquella, is you at least gonna hit back? You got caught up, okay? Now think about this. If Shanquella got caught up and she was towed up that night before, so she don't probably even remember. She probably didn't remember. But then again, she probably just wild like that, y'all. Okay? Because it seemed like this whole crew that she was hanging around was kind of wild, y'all. Especially if it's true what they're saying. Because it could be a rumor that, her boyfriend is now dating her best friend. Okay, y'all? So I want y'all to think about the wilding out. Is this why the pause session took place? And they recorded it. Because that's just something they do. Okay? Y'all got to think about what Khalid said when she was laying, out there by the pool, sleep or whatever. And he said, we got our first bodies. When I watched that movie, Bodies, 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 it puts you in the mind of young adults would watch this, because it's not nothing that I would want to watch on a regular, you know what I'm saying, on a regular day. It's not a picture that I would pick. And if people are into these type of movies, and they out kicking it and hanging out of town, and that's the first thing coming to their mind is bodies, 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 playing these games, when they go out the country, then they got, they young minded, y'all. They're young minded. And I want y'all to think about this, okay? Because we're taking it there. We're going to look at it from their side. Is it a possibility that the only thing that Dejanay is guilty of right now is this possession? That's it. Possession. That's it. Not taking her out. Because y'all got to think about something too, about this possession. I mean, she didn't even want to hit back, y'all. They said, is you going to even hit back? No. Did she feel like she didn't have the right to even try to hit her back, because she felt like she was wrong too? That she just woke up and look at her. She's not in her own room, y'all. Think about this. Allegedly, she doesn't have on anything. It looks like to me in one of the footage, but I'm telling y'all, there's so much different editing and stuff go on, and they try to, mess up your head with the lies that you don't know, if she had on something or not. But it looked like she had on something sheer. But at the same time, other people say some pictures they saw, it looked like she had on something. Other pictures she saw looked like she didn't have on anything. So let's go with if she didn't have on anything, because this is what everybody's saying. Did Dejanay, because it looked like, in other pictures and footage of her hanging out with Cabo 6 members or other people, she's having a good time, y'all. When she say, I'm tired of your stuff, have Shanquella done this to her before? She's already jealous of it because Shanquella, tiny out of shape, she has attitude, life of the party, making money. Shanquella standing next to Dejanay. Dejanay is probably insecure around her, y'all. So it was a little jealousy, but at the same time, did they still have a good time around her? I'm just saying. And this was just one of their rules. This is what they said. One of their rules were, if somebody in the group mess up, they put paws on each other and, go about their business. And they make up and go about they handle it within the group. And nobody can say anything or jump in. So did they feel like she deserved it, y'all? Are they guilty of this possession and not wanting to tell anybody, because afterwards, she ended up passing away, and they're confused too. They said after this possession, Shanquella goes to her room. And what did they do? They went out. They went out. They probably asked her, did she want to go? She probably said no. They left her there. She had took a little spanking. And it's just like 54 Keys said. She said, if you look at MMA fighters and all of this stuff, we've seen worse. So what we saw on that footage, she could have been just fine. Just upset, a little sore. She could have been just fine, y'all. Think about it. So that goes out because they already had some people to come over, and cook for them the last night they had to pay for. And they were trying to rush them to come on because we're gonna charge y'all some more. Okay. So they ain't had no cooks coming over the next morning. This whole little shedingity just didn't took place. So they want to take, Dejanay out, let her cool off some. She's peed off. It's her birthday, and this is what's going on for her birthday. Okay? Could they have went there to have a good time, but things went left? Because, sometimes people get a little wild, y'all. When they left, was Shanquella still alive? And when that maid came, which is where the whole story started switching up at, the maid says she found Shanquella alone, bent over the toilet, y'all. Okay? Face down. Okay? This is what she said. She found her. And then there's rumors that the maid said that she was already gone when she found her. Now I want y'all to think about this. If she's saying that she was already gone when she found her, is it because this is when something happened to her? I'm just saying. We don't. And another thing, is the maid a woman or a man? And was a lot of things threw out there to throw us off. The number one thing that was threw out there to throw us out was this femicide stuff. It seemed like this could have been a little inner joke in them trying to be funny and try to call, Dejanay manly man. Because it seems like they were lying to us about a lot of stuff. And they were teasing us at the same time. Americans at the same time, trying to be funny. Did y'all catch the little phrases that they were putting out there? Because they was putting out there a lot of little phrases, y'all. Okay? They told us a lot of stuff, y'all. Starting off with, they were laughing. Okay? When the people was there to see to them. They added that little bit in there. They were laughing. They added that little bit in there that don't make no sense. Everybody's trying to figure out this. Why in the world do what we see in the footage of Shanquella walking through the villa? Where y'all bees at? And then they're kicking it at the doing the games and say, drink, drink. She's still alive and everything. Why when the Mexican assistant pop up there, he claimed, this is where the cover-up seems like it's coming in at. He claims that Shanquella was the eyeball out. This is what he said. Now, we could see if he came after the pause session. But this was the night before. She was excited from what we heard. So was they lying to us from the start? People set up pages. I told you this. They probably bought a house off of donations that people were giving people for lies, y'all. They said it was another video. Never another video even surfaced, y'all. Never. It's a lot that we have to talk about. Have we been being lied to, y'all? And taunting. Remember when they said that they were going to charge somebody and they never released the name. And we was like, how can you charge somebody can't even release a name? It was like everything that was coming out was a taunting, y'all. Was Shanquella left that day because she probably did have a little too much to drink and still wasn't feeling good after that, pause session, y'all. After that pause session, and she had been sipping all night, she probably was throwing up and everything, feeling bad. So they looked at it as she had too much to sip on. Everybody else had bounced back from it, but she hadn't. And could she have drunk more than others? Because this is why she woke up in somebody else's room, y'all. I'm just saying. We got to think about all of this. We got to think about everything that the medical staff said. We got to think about everything the maid said and when the story started turning. The story started turning, if you think about it, when the maid came in, y'all. The maid. To me, that's like where this group of certain people came in and took over everything. And I want y'all to think about, they said she had, was hit on the head. Okay, y'all? Hit on the head. Trauma to the head. And this happens a lot with people that they're going to take their body parts, y'all. They have a little trauma to the head, y'all, or suffocation. And I'm wondering, is these two ways that they can, take you out? You pass away in a certain amount of time, which is a little bit suffering, because possibility that's bleeding in the brain and stuff like that. And you does that going out that way kind of preserve the body, or they can jump on it really quick and use some of those body parts, y'all. Ask yourself this question. Everything went pretty fast. What happened to her? And if we started getting lies from there has been so many lies from the start. So many subliminal messages of a possibility that we haven't been being lied to. Seriously, y'all. She had a knot on her head. They said the maid called, I guess, the assistant, and they said that this is when they located the Cabo 6 and told them about how they found her. So could the maid and them have got somebody in there? Was this the perfect storm, y'all? We got, clearly they didn't roughed her up. When the maid sees her, she's clearly been roughed up a little bit. She got a bruise on her lip. She got a bruise on her eye. This is what they're saying. So she got a busted lip. She got a blood vessel that's busted in her eye. And they say she had a knot on her head. But could she have just had a busted lip in her eye? Because we saw how hard. We saw how hard that Dejanay was hitting her. That was like she was going in really hard. Like she was hurt. She was hurt about something, y'all. She was making sure she felt it. Put it that way. Did she put the knot on her head? Or did the knot come from someone else, y'all, after they left? Think about this. This cut their trip short. They not trying to stick around. When they come back and she's unresponsive. They left, she was fine. They come back, she's unresponsive. This is what the maid said. And this is when the whole story turned. How can she be already gone, but everybody else is saying she was still alive? So the maid whole thing that she's saying don't make sense. Nazir said she was still alive. She was still alive. The doctor that came said, what did the doctor say? She was stable but dehydrated, y'all. Stable but dehydrated. This is what the doctor said. Nazir says she was unresponsive. It's the only thing that's right about that autopsy report from Mexico is she passed away in 15 minutes after what happened to her. Y'all, but it was really longer than 15 minutes. He didn't get the 15 minutes right. Because if he missed out on some other stuff, he could have got that part wrong too. Y'all. Did those kids leave there and did that maid do something to her? Allegedly, y'all. Allegedly. Did something to her that she passed away slowly? Ask yourself this question. Now, you know, the question is, did she have a knot on her head before Cabo 6 left? Is that knot on her head in an area where Desjardins hit her at? Because we saw where she was hitting her at. And if that was the ending of what happened to her, is that even where the knot is on her head, y'all? They're also saying that there was some suspect stuff on the autopsy report around the areas of, you know, her areas down there, y'all. So, did they do more? Did they do more than hit on her head, y'all? And is Cabo 6 only guilty of not telling people that there was even a pulse session? Because they were scared, because the first thing people was going to think was they did it. So their whole thing was getting the heck up out of there, because they know when they left there, she was alive. But they know when they come back, and she is in the presence of the maid and probably whoever else that got there and decided she's a prime candidate for some body parts, y'all. Was Cabo 6 scared? Was they scared, y'all? And due to the fact that, you know, Elise just had somebody passed away in her family, so she was already probably feeling some type of way in the first place while she was there. Okay? Perfect storm. Her sister gets taken out the night that they got there. So she's already in some type of mode. Okay? What was supposed to turn out to be a fun weekend turned out to be a nightmare, y'all. Perfect storm. Yes, she has family members that are police officers. And people was like, oh, her police officer. Y'all, it's early. I'm hungry. Her police officer family member is probably telling her what to do. Well, to be honest with y'all, if any one of us had a police officer family member and we were in the middle of this mess and we didn't do it, they're going to give us advice. So what's wrong with that? Think about it. Your family member is going to tell you, you know, just get out of there. because they might lock you up, and you don't want to get locked up there until they found out what really happened. Okay, y'all? Nazir gets there, and he missed out on all the fun last night. He in the aftermath. Okay? He's in the aftermath. He said he got there and she was laying on the in the game room. This is what he said. Laying on the couch in the game room. Probably unresponsive. Because that's what he said. She was unresponsive. The maid said she found her over the toilet seat. Then they say she found her already gone. It's coming up that she was suffocated, y'all. Suffocated. Did somebody put something over her face? Did somebody put something over her head? Certain amount of time. You already hit on the head. And then you do a little suffocation too. But she's not all the way gone yet. She's still hanging on a little bit. Was it a little bit over the 15-minute mark that she passed away in once something happened? Because if Cabo 6 was already gone out kicking it, going probably to get some breakfast or something, if Cabo 6 was gone out, it was more than 15 minutes. They had to been gone. So who was there the last 15 minutes of her life? Was it the maid? Was it the assistant in them that she called when they were looking for her? And the people that's coming there to check out this body laying there? Was this something that just fell in their laps, y'all? Ask yourself this question. Is Dejanay guilty of possession? And Cabo 6, excuse me, y'all, is guilty of not want to tell anybody that there was even a possession in the first place. Because they scared, y'all. We gonna get blamed for this, and we didn't even do it. We've seen movies like that. You think one person did and somebody else didn't did it. Y'all. We've seen those type of movies. Is this what's going on right now? Is there a cover-up on Mexico's side, y'all? Was she taken out by somebody in Mexico? Ask yourself this question. We got first responders. They was acting like she was still alive. The police, which I'm saying right here, he said in reality, it wasn't a fight. It was a direct attack. So they talking about the tape. And I'm going to ask y'all this question. Who leaked that tape? Who in the world leaked that tape? And on top of leaking that tape, and it brings you back to, I don't know why it brings me back to, what's his name? Gerald, who has the same last name as one of the Cabo 6, Dejanay. Did he release this tape because possibility tried to extort some money out of Dejanay? Is there a possibility that they could be family members, y'all? They do look alike. He liked to extort some money out of people. He is the person that could get his hand on that tape if that's his family member and found out about it. Somebody called Salamandra. That's what she said in the interview. Somebody called her out the blue. She didn't know who it was, and they told her they was over there putting paws on that girl. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta go get me something to sip on. Is it safe to say that there's a possibility that the police didn't know, and this is some, this is why they felt like Dejanay did? Because this tape comes out. Y'all, ask yourself this question. The main person responsible for these acts is a female friend who is the aggressor in this case. This is what I guess came from this guy right here from Mexico. From the start, it seemed like Mexico was, working overtime and pointing their fingers at Cabo 6. They were working overtime to prove to us that Cabo 6 did it. And this tape was just the icing on the cake. And that's another thing. Who released this tape, y'all? Did Gerald Jackson, play a part in releasing this tape? Ask yourself this question. It's something going on with who released this tape. I think that's very important. The evidence did not support the autopsy report that the United States did at all. So the judicial system could not press charges, do anything. Is it because the evidence that they have, that they received, points fingers at somebody in Mexico instead of Cabo 6, y'all? Is this why, they nonchalant about this? Because the ball is in Mexico's court. Not because she has family members that's in the police station. Ask yourself this question, y'all. Ask yourself this question. Who put that tape out? Who called Shanquella's mama? We have to get down to a lot of questions. Who is this maid, y'all? Everybody's talking. This maid had to give a statement. Did she find her already gone? Because that's what they're saying she said. Because if she's saying that, then why is the doctors and the first responders acting like she was still alive, y'all? Was she fighting for her life slowly, y'all? After that maid found her. What did they do? They know Cabo 6 was going to leave. They weren't finna stick around. They knew that. And they held her body, y'all, for over 10 days. Over 10 days. Now let's look at something else, y'all. Let's look at something else. And I want you to think about what they told Cabo 6. The doctors or whoever. They said, allegedly, you got to pay $5,000 if you want to go to the emergency room. So they told the mother they need $5,000. Possibly, right? If they couldn't send the money to her because the family, they weren't paying for nothing outside of the daddy. He was the one that seemed like that he didn't foot the bill for everything. Even looks like he's the one that paid for, her headstone and all that stuff at the cemetery. So, y'all, is this why Cabo 6 refused to send her to the emergency room? Because they wasn't gonna pay the $5,000. And we were told that Shanquella had a bag of money. Who carries money like that? The money that they say Shanquella had on her, if you think about it, who carries money like that around them? A lot of people carry their cards, or that she probably got some money that, I think when you go to other countries, I don't travel out the country like that. So do you take a certain amount of money and get it turned to their type of money when you're over there? I don't know how they do this. But did she really have that type of money on her? Because if that's the case, they could have used that to send her to pay for to take her to go to the emergency room. If she had that type of money on her, why would they call the family to tell them what they were saying in the moment, saying that she got some insurance? Perfect storm, y'all. If they already have figured out, because they said they had to go look for Cabo 6 to bring them back to the villa after the maid found her. Some ain't adding up, y'all. And what is adding up is, who all was there when Cabo 6 showed up? Was it just the maid? Was the assistant guy there that was, helping them with everything? And they're traveling and getting around and all this stuff. See, when you're controlling even the travel of the guests when they come there, then you control how long it takes for you to get back to the villa. Because they got to call a driver. And the driver is connected to the assistant. So he could take his time bringing you back. So they could be doing whatever they want to do to you. Shanquella, while they was gone, y'all. Do y'all see this now? Do you see what I'm talking about? There's a lot of questionable things going on right now. A lot. Let's get to the elephant in the room, y'all. Buying organs on the black market. The business of crime. This is the video. Okay? So he says, so it's literally people's bodies being taken from them. This is what this guy said, y'all. Let me read that again, y'all. So it's literally people's bodies being taken from them. Okay? Every piece of me has the ability, this is what he's saying, to make money on a market. And I thought I had put the screen in for it, but I think I have forgot to put it in there. But this guy said that when a person comes to Mexico or anywhere that there, are these organ rings at, they're saying that they can get over $250,000 off of your body parts. Because there's certain body parts that they go for, y'all. This is what he said. You can get over $250,000 for body parts. And it's made me think about another blogger that I forgot his name. He is a truck driver, y'all. The truck driver that I told y'all. I was like, okay. He was talking about how people are selling people at the border. This is what he said on his page, y'all. I have to go back to an old video of him. And I forgot his name, y'all. I really did. Because I unsubscribed from him because he gets so excited when he's talking about, how people can get, taken and stuff. He's so excited about it. But he said that, my day 1s, 2s, and 3s, y'all remember, when he was talking about how much people was going for at the border, y'all. So this make you think, this has been going on for a long time. We know that. Okay? This has been going on for seriously a long time. Now, organs on demand. Now they say they only recover organs from volunteers. And this is what I was telling y'all about. That they say that they only take, body parts from people that volunteer. That's why when you go down there to, DMV and all that stuff, you can put on there that use a donor. And they're going to play Russian roulette with you sometimes when you do that, because if somebody that has a little more money and they need something, it's a possibility that, you can drift on up out of here without anybody really trying to help you. Okay? So, you have to think about that when you're signing these type of paperworks on, you know, donating your body parts. Okay, y'all? It's not always volunteers. Sometimes it's people that come up missing. Like, Jelani Day and all of this stuff. It's a win-win when somebody takes you out that's prejudice. And then they can turn around and make some money off of your body parts too. It's a win-win. Think about Kendrick Johnson, y'all. Think about this. Black market organ transplants have a long and bloody history, y'all. This is what they're saying. This is nothing new. This has been going on for a while. They had rings that come from New York to Las Vegas to Chicago. They've had rings that they have busted that was connected from city to city, state to state, y'all. The tops of their organized crime rings are the doctors. Did y'all hear that? This is what this guy said in his research, that the person who's in control of these organized crime rings of taking body parts are the doctors, which makes sense because they're the ones that, these families are coming to, people with money, people without money. And they're sitting back watching. People with money sit back and watch their loved ones wasting away or sick because they're, on a waiting list. But they got hundreds and thousands of dollars that can pay for, not going on a waiting list. We go out and get you what you need. Okay? So it makes sense that the doctors will be the middleman in this. And if the doctor's in the middleman in this, then 9 times out of 10, people that's doing autopsy reports is working with these people. You can't say that people that does autopsy reports and people that you take, bodies to the funeral homes is all on the up and up. They not. Because look how every time one of these rappers go out, they're showing pictures of them on the table, y'all. People are paying for it. And they put it on the internet, y'all, for the world to see. Look at King Von. Look at Tupac. They put it on the internet for the world to see when they take people out. So a lot of these places, they got people that's working in these places and they have connections to other, that's why they call it organized crime, y'all. Okay? Involving collusion between organized criminals. How victims of illegal kidney racket turned kingpins. Lure donors. Y'all. And corrupt doctors, police, and medical administration staff. But don't this sound like Shanquella, y'all, case right now? Ask yourself this question. We have a maid that claims that she found her like that. When we don't know, excuse me, y'all, did she find her like that or did they put her like that? Okay? We have a doctor that showed up. We have police that showed up. We have medical administration staff, the first responders that showed up. And to me, post Shanquella was already gone, y'all. When Nazir said she was unresponsive, she was either on her last leg, pretty much gone already, or all the way gone already. Simple as that. when they say that she was having, I don't know, possible, convulsions and stuff like that, I'm going to just say this from experience. When my father passed away at home, because we didn't want him to go to hospice, we wanted to take care of him ourselves. When they pass us away, and then everything is released out of their bodies. Everything just, when they're gone, when everything releases out of their body. So could that have been when everything released out of her body, y'all? She was unresponsive, but just everything hadn't just all the way just. Is that the convulsion they want to talk about, y'all? Because she's been laying there for the longest, and nobody was helping her. Knots on her head and everything. And they're negotiating money and all kind of stuff around her. Think about this. If the doctors tell them you need to take her to the emergency room, but you got to have $5,000. If they don't have the $5,000, they trying to get up out of it. That's number one, because they don't want to be blamed for this when they know when they left she was alive. Okay, they don't know what's going on, and they trying to just go along with everything until they get up out of there. Okay, think about this, y'all. They knew that Shanquella was going to be left there with them, that she had to go to their morgue, their autopsy person, which was just going to put her on the table and, do whatever it is that they wanted to do. Take whatever it is that they wanted to take. They knew that this was going to take place, y'all. Think about it. All this screams the same thing that's going on with Shanquella right now. And they are not the ones that go out to the villages. In Shanquella's case, a doctor did come out to the villa, y'all. Yes, she did. We seen her sitting over. But they are the ones organizing the trade. So if the doctors is the one that organizes the trade, y'all, they're making the money moves, y'all, on who get what and who go to where and what body they gonna use to give to what rich person. They're the ones that's in control of the trade, y'all. Does it make sense that everything goes a little bit weird once the maid comes and the first responders come and the doctor come and the assistant come, y'all? Does it make sense that everybody in Mexico was sending us all kind of lies that we were over here believing? I told y'all, we got to stop being so vulnerable. We have to stop being so vulnerable. I even myself, I be doing the numbers on people, but do the numbers always be on point? Ask yourself this question. Do the numbers always be on point? Y'all, can the numbers be wrong? Is there a possibility that someone in Mexico took Shanquella out for body parts, y'all? So this one right here is talking about somebody else, but she said she was just one potential victim in a global industry. This is something that goes on all the time, that turns over an estimated $1 billion every year. Do y'all hear that? $1 billion every year. Is this why we got so many missing people? Is this why so many missing people are being found with their body parts missing? Y'all, and a certain particular body parts that they're after now. Okay? And there's plenty of money to be made. A clean heart of lungs will likely, a clean heart or lungs will likely set you back at least $130,000. We ain't talking about no chump change, y'all. We're talking about one person, Shanquella, being taken out and body parts being sold, just allegedly, okay? Because we're looking at it from another angle right now. They can go buy another villa with their body parts and go buy another villa, y'all, that they can rent out and make money off. Possibly two. Because property in Mexico is not as high as it is, everywhere else. Everybody gets paid. Everybody that play a part. The maid. Is this something that they do? They look out for somebody to let the guards down, and then when they do, they jump on that chance to. She was a perfect storm waiting to happen, y'all. The friend's feeling already guilty that she's unresponsive now. Dejanay probably scared out her mind, like, we got to get up out of here, because I'm not trying to go to jail over here. And we left her, she was fine. We didn't had, pulse sessions before. This don't make no sense. Let's go, y'all. This is why they was trying to get up out of there so fast. And as fast as they was trying to get out of there, is as fast as, allegedly, they could have been trying to take these parts off of Shanquella, y'all. And this is why we are where we are right now in this case, y'all. With everybody confused as to a bunch of lies being told to us. Okay? A bunch of lies. A lot of lies that don't make no sense, y'all. A heart or lungs. One or the other. $130,000. People get on over something like this, y'all. People will get on off of $130,000, y'all. Especially if you got some hustlers, in your circle. They can do a lot with that. They can flip that several times, y'all. Think about it. A liver or a kidney, you can get $100,000. Pretty much $100,000. A little bit under. 6 figures. That's almost $230,000 right there. Right, y'all? Corneas are cheapest of all, according to the same research. So this is why a lot of people is coming up missing and their eyes is being taken out, because this is something else that they're getting paid $30,000 for, something that has to do with your eyes, y'all. And ain't this what's missing off of a lot of people that they're finding? They said Jelani Day eyes was missing, y'all, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Kendrick Lamar, he was stuffed with newspaper, y'all. Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Johnson. He was stuffed with newspaper. They took all his body parts out, y'all. Is there a possibility that we've been looking in the wrong place? Because we are our biggest critics, y'all. And I can't say that I'm not too, because I was on it as well. So I have to look at this from another angle too. Is there a possibility this is why the United States is not trying to mess with Cabo 6? Is because all fingers are pointing to Mexico. Somebody in Mexico did this. And they had this zoo nigga a line through his teeth, y'all, to us. Giving us all this false information. Getting put on, y'all. We out here passing out donations like we got it like that. Because we want justice for Shanquella. But could there have been something more sinister going on, y'all? They harvest their corneas, their kidneys, and their hearts, y'all. This is what they're doing. And they would just sort of like liquidate the body. After they take what they want. Is this what they did with Shanquella when they put the embalmment in her? After they take what they want. Look at this handsome, y'all. Handsome young man. About to be a doctor, y'all. Smart, healthy, They said that he was, you know, doing something for his daddy. His daddy was sick, and they was doing, I don't know, doing some kind of fusion or something he was doing. I forgot what it was all about. Y'all, I got so many stories be in my head. But he was helping his daddy out. His daddy was sick. So he was healthy, y'all. Okay? Healthy, smart. Make you think about Get Out, don't it, y'all? When they wanted his body parts, they probably had a field day with him. Handsome jeans, okay, y'all? Smart, a doctor. Going to school to be a doctor, y'all. They found him with his body parts missing, y'all. And liquefied inside. And they tell us any old thing, and everybody just act like we supposed to believe everything they say. Is this what it's about, y'all? Is this what it was all about in the first place? Is Dejanay only guilty of the possession, y'all? She was mad. That's it. They came back and they didn't tell the mother about the possession. Because you know what? Mama Bear was going to already off top think, y'all did this. Why would y'all be over there putting paws on her? Even if she did do that. Y'all could have just left her alone and don't talk to her no more. But this group of people say this is how they do things. They, duke it out amongst themselves. So is it a possibility, y'all, that we have been, going down the wrong rabbit hole, y'all? Is there something more sinister going on? Jelani Day's autopsy report reveals his organs were missing. Y'all? Kendrick, his body parts were missing. Johnson, they were missing. They stuffed him with newspaper, y'all. Newspaper. This is where they found him at. They say he jumped down one of these mats, y'all, instead of pushing the mat over like any smart person would do. Okay? Not to mention, how can you get some shoes stuck down one of these holes right here, y'all? And why would the shoes be up there in the first place? Okay? They say he was reaching for his shoes. This is what they told us. And word on the street is, the people who played a part in this whole shenanigans right here, the sons were, their fathers were feds, y'all. And they swept it under the rug like it didn't happen. The police people there, they treated Kendrick Johnson's family as if there were nobodies. And they took all of their sons' body parts, y'all, and went on about their business. What's really going on, y'all? Got another one here. Another one. He was a veteran. Everett Palmer Jr. He passed away in police custody, y'all. So he was arrested or whatever. He was at the police station. Passed away, and family finds out later that his body parts was missing too, y'all. They were missing. Coincidences, y'all? Or is this just something that they're doing now? Do you have to be careful about? I've told y'all this. My day 1s, 2s, and 3s. I told y'all about my little sister went to the hospital. Had a bad asthma attack. Scared the mess out of me. They had so many tubes on her. Like she was already gone. They was pretty much acting like she was gone. As soon as, because I went off, y'all. I went off. As soon as, my mom pops up and my son and everybody, they start singing another tune, acting as if the perfect storm had just blew away, y'all. It just came, left as fast as it came. And the crazy part about this is, while I was still at the hospital, after they, got their ass off of my little sister, on her body parts, because I think that's what they wanted. They put their eyes on another person that came into, the waiting area with me. And they were doing her the same way they were doing me. And she was like, they're already acting like my baby's gone already. Her baby came in for asthma attack too. Y'all. You got to watch certain hospitals too you go to. You got to do your homework on some of these hospitals. People be putting reviews up. This is a big thing you have to do to warn each other, y'all, about certain things that's going on. Seriously. And it's the way you have to do some things too, because sometimes you can't even. And this is just a little something I'm gonna throw out there. I wouldn't even put reviews in my name because but I'll still put them out there because you have to be careful about a lot of stuff, y'all. Now, this is Elena, y'all. She was a child with disabilities, and she passed away. And when she passed away, they took her body parts, y'all. And they didn't ask the parents for permission either. This is what the parents said. They butchered her up and took whatever they wanted from her. This is what the mother said, or a grandmother, or stepmother, or foster mother. It was something like that. He had a list, this doctor right here. He had a list, y'all. Remember this face, Dr. Sam Andrews. He had a list of what all to take off of this baby, and he didn't even have the mama sign nothing, y'all. Let's get to this list, y'all, because this list is tripped out. Remove the cervical spine and preserve in 10% formalin. Remove and preserve any acute and remote skull fractures or portion thereof. She was like, if you go to this video, child organs allegedly harvested without permission. She was like, he had a whole long list of stuff to remove off of her child. And they didn't even ask her, y'all. They didn't even ask. They're doing what they want now. To who they want. This is sad, y'all. This guy was a model. A model. And his circumstances was really weird too, y'all. Made you think about the industry stuff when you thought about him. He became this, handsome model. And then his family found out that he was getting married. They see pictures of him standing next to a woman, but he wasn't marrying a woman. He was marrying a man. And she was like, she didn't even know he was swinging that route, y'all. She didn't know what the heck was going on. And then all of a sudden, he gone and his body parts is missing when they found him. This is another example of them taking. And a lot of people have been asking me to look into what's going on in the industry with a bunch of models. A lot of models, they are dogging these models out, y'all. They're dogging them out. A lot of them. And some stuff is going on with them. And if y'all have any information about different models that stuff is happening with them, send it to me, please. Because, we got to get down to some of that stuff that's going on in the industry. People have been asking me about it, but I haven't had a chance to get around to it. This is his autopsy report, y'all. And they took his body parts, y'all. They took all of his body parts. It's saying that several body parts appear to have been removed from his body, and they say about animal activity. But really, y'all, really? They said the same thing about Jelani Day, that, you know, he was in that water and that animals in the water could have taken, you know, his body parts. And then they said that the acid or something in his body when you pass away could have liquidated. Y'all, they had all kind of excuses. But it's the same thing over and over again, y'all. Undetermined. Shanquella, 2 autopsies done. U.S.A. said that it was undetermined because they had embalmed her after they took out what they wanted, y'all. Allegedly. Is this why I'm seeing Cabo 6 in a storm, y'all? Because they just, you know, they didn't tell people that there was a pulse session because they knew that people were going to blame them. Ask yourself this question. Them doing the pulse session ain't nothing new. Apparently, it has been done before amongst the group members of somebody else getting into it, and they put paws on each other, and they going about their business. Was Shanquella taken out after the maid showed up, y'all? This is what was missing on the model. His eyes, his heart, his lungs, his liver, his kidneys. This is what was missing, y'all. So they got well over $500,000 off of him, because they got all of those parts off of him. If you think about what I just put up there and the prices that they pay. What's really going on, y'all? And these are everything that everybody was saying about it. Everybody. And like I say, we are our biggest critics, because right now we're living in a day and age where, and I got to work on this even myself, that we jump on a story and we're quick to blame. But one thing about my page, I like to sort of look at things from different scenarios. My day 1s, 2s, and 3s know this. I will look at it from every angle. And now it's time to look at it from this angle. And is there a possibility, y'all? Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Is there a possibility that Shanquella was taken out by somebody in Mexico? A group of people that is selling body parts. Ask yourself this question. And social media it can be helpful at times, and it also can hinder things at times as well. If we sit back and we think about the things that, you know, Nazir was saying, but y'all gonna see, why would I went there to have a good time? Why would we go there and spend this money just to go do this? And think about it, y'all. They hung out with Shanquella all the time. Why couldn't they have done it in the United States if they wanted to take her out? I mean, y'all, look at whatchamacall. Elise's sister just got taken out the night that they was making it to Mexico. So it ain't like that she couldn't have been taken out in Charlotte. So think about it. Did Cabo 6 really take Shanquella out? And is this why the United States was like, and the FBI was saying what they said? The evidence does not support the way her autopsy, the way she passed away on that autopsy, which they're saying that she had blunt force trauma to the head and suffocation. That sounds like somebody that wants to take you out and possibly take some body parts. It was a slow passing, but at the same time, that's if she was still alive. Because I really feel in my heart of heart that she was already gone. She was already gone by the time Cabo 6 came back there. And they knew it too. But they went along with what, the medics and everybody was saying, acting like she was still alive. So they went along with it too. They told what they knew. She had been sipping a lot. This is what Cabo 6 said. She had been sipping a lot. Only thing they left out was the pause session. Because if they would have told Mexico about the pause session, y'all, it's a possibility they could have been held over there. So on top of them, allegedly could have been the ones, Mexico, to take Shanquella out. They could have also had all of Cabo 6 locked up over there for something somebody else did in Mexico. So they prime thing was getting out of there and keeping their mouths shut about the pause session. And is it a possibility that Nazir didn't know? He wasn't there. Or did they tell him later on and he went along with saying, he didn't know about it? He didn't know about it at the time, but did they tell him? This is a group of people that grew up together. They all getting ready to leave Mexico together. They probably told him, we did, have a little shedingy go on. But at the same time, she was still alive when we left. We get back, the maid is saying that she's, unresponsive. What do you think Cabo 6 about to do? They all about to leave. Put yourself in their place. They get back and you have Khalid running over to the mama house 4 days straight. Every day he going over there. He knows that there was a pause session. But he can't say nothing. Because they are going to think he did it. Okay, y'all? So they wait. This whole case was about waiting. The waiting game, y'all. Everybody, and this is why the perfect storm exists. Because this was a waiting game, y'all. They couldn't wait to get out of Mexico. They get back to Mexico and they're going to rely on the autopsy. We're getting lies fed to us about an autopsy of a broken neck that never happened, which also brings you right back full circle to the maid now putting his lie together. The zoo nigga playing his part. He got paid off of this whole thing, y'all. Running back and forth, telling us stuff and keeping us informed. Y'all, they made a mockery of Shanquella's passing. They made a mockery of Americans. They made a mockery of Deja. And they calling her, she had, what they say, she had a manly something. They was making it seem like she was a dude. Okay? They was mocking her too. At the same time, they was calling themselves, explaining to us about the autopsies and all this other stuff, which we found out later that were all lies. This is crazy, y'all. This whole thing is crazy. And none of it makes sense, y'all. Outside of a perfect storm. You got a group of young people going to have fun for their birthday. And it turns into a nightmare. And only thing they're thinking about is getting back home. Now, where I don't understand what comes in at is who called them? How did this tape get out? Because one thing, if you are scared out y'all man, you scared. You get back home. You get back home and this tape is released. Who released this tape? Did somebody try to blackmail, Dejanay? Them to get him some money and they won't tell something? Because y'all got to think about Gerald Jackson is an extortioner. At the same time he's an extortioner, he's the middleman. He gets his hands on this tape that he releases, pumps up his little page at the same time too. And now he's friends with Shanquella's sister. That part don't make no sense. The mama gets a phone call out the blue saying that they was over there putting paws on that girl. Who was that called the mama? And how did they get this tape? Now we found it out that some of the Cabo 6 got some money. People acting like they didn't have none, but they got decent jobs. Elise come from a family of decent jobs. Dejanay, we found out that everybody was saying she was broke. Dejanay been going on trips all over the world. Dejanay paid for the Cabo 6 trip. She probably didn't pay the people way, but she paid for the villa and all that stuff. She was in control of all of that. So we found out that part was allowed, that she was the one that paid for stuff, not Shanquella. You see how all the lies was mixed up with the truth? And then the truth come out and we found out later Dejanay is the one that paid for everything. Too many lies, y'all. Too many lies has been told to us over and over and over again. Everybody was sipping, y'all. All of them. She got there, Dejanay. She went straight from the airport to the stores to go buy stuff. She was excited about her birthday. She was excited. Were we wrong about Cabo 6? And the only reason that we can say this right now is because that autopsy report that came back, all lies, if that is the truth. But the only thing that makes the U.S. want to lie, allegedly, is connections. That's the only thing that you can put on the list as connections. The U.S. side, connections, police, the army, stuff like that. But people in the army have went to prison for doing crimes. Police have been brought down for doing crimes. So is it the other way around, y'all? Is it the other way around? And is this whole thing the whole reason, and people is getting mad at the U.S., the Fed, saying that they don't even care, they don't this, they don't that. From what they were given, they used what they were given. They used what they were told. Did Cabo 6 just tell them? We were scared to tell because they was going to hold us over there. And when we left out, she was alive. Is this what was told, y'all? We caught in the middle of this mess, too. They've been lying ever since we got back to the U.S. They said her neck was broke, all this stuff. We didn't say that. They said it. They're pointing the fingers at us when we did not do it. Somebody in Mexico took Shanquella out. Is this what Cabo 6 is saying, y'all? Is this what they're really saying to the feds? And what they're saying to the feds is that adding up with the autopsy report that came out. And the U.S. had no choice but to go with what Cabo 6 was saying, because it made sense when they did the results. I told you it was a waiting game. The mama and them was rushing them. Why y'all ain't doing nothing? Is it because they had to wait till the autopsy reports come back to see what really happened to her? How can you push forward on something when you don't even know how she passed in the first place? You talking about 10, 11, 12 days that her body was in Mexico. Them doing whatever they want to it. When the United States get her back, she's already been embalmed. But they still run a full autopsy report. And the autopsy report comes back. She was suffocated. There was no broken bones in her neck and back. She had a knot on her head. She was suffocated. Now, what people are tripping about? The family. The mother knew for months what the autopsy report said. That the U.S. did. She knew for months. And they let people continue to think that Shanquella, y'all, passed away from a broken, and then they let a little bit out at a time. If this ain't all what happened, if there's, and the sister said this, I told y'all, the sister said, if Dejanay didn't do it, then what happened? What happened? Why didn't y'all go into detail that she was not taken out by a broken neck? Why didn't y'all go into detail and really push forward to let people really hear what y'all were saying? Y'all let it out a little bit at a time here and there, but people were still feeling like she had a broken neck. And y'all let people still run with that. This is why people is looking at the family side eyes. Because the mama and the sister seem like it's been a money grab for them from day one. And it still is. It seems like Benjamin Crump just scooped in and grabbed a check and bounced after he found out what was really in the autopsy report. He bounced. Because there is nothing that can be going on right now but an investigation on the maid. You got to start with her first. Because she found her. And just because she said she found her in a certain way don't mean that that's how she found her. Something ain't right about this whole thing, y'all. And we have to start with the maid. Who was this maid? That's what we need to start at. Who was this maid, y'all? Who was the person who did the autopsy report? Do some digging on him. Go find some reviews and see if, he got a history of putting the wrong information on the wrong autopsy reports, y'all. Who's he connected to? Is he connected to any of the first responders that came by, the maid that came by, the doctor that came by, the assistant that was handling everything? Are all of these people connected in a way that y'all don't even have a clue of? This is where we have to start when it comes to Shanquella's case now. We can't think about a broken back or neck bone. We can't think about that no more. We can't think about femicide no more because that was a total distraction to throw out there. Okay? Because if it was femicide, then that means that came from the maid. Was the maid or he or something? I don't know. Because that's the only where the femicide could come from. Outside of it was made up, y'all, to throw us off and make us wonder. Everybody was already thinking. We trying to think of what all was going on, what happened with this and that, and every much as we was thinking, they was throwing out some more terms here and there and there to distract us about what really was going on. This was coming from Mexico, y'all. All of these twists and turns came from Mexico, y'all. Make it make sense to why we was lied to from the start. Was Shanquella wasted that night? She wakes up in somebody else's room. Did she wake up with somebody else's man? Y'all, is that why, or woman, is this why Dejanay went off, y'all? You mean to tell me, I know you like showing your little body off, but now you wake up and you are in somebody's room that maybe Dejanay wanted to be in that room with them, or that was Dejanay's room. Ask yourself this question, y'all. Is this why nobody stepped in? They felt like Shanquella deserved a little butt whooping right now if she went with this girl's gal while they was on the trip, and it's her birthday too. She wilding out too much. She needed to get, a little session. And was that all that this was about, y'all? They made a big deal out of, Cabo 6 refused to let her go to the hospital. But if you all are talking about we need $5,000 if you're going to bring her to the hospital, and they didn't have it, is that what they call them, refused? Do they take them anyway, even if you don't get them no money? Ask yourself this question. If she would have went to that hospital, they was going to notice bruising on her. They noticed the bruising on her when the doctors and stuff got there. So they already know something went down. Got a little lip buzz. A little red eye. Now let's break down all of the stuff that Mexico was saying. She didn't fit in. It don't sound right. How did she didn't fit in when she was, y'all bees, y'all, where y'all bees at? Drink. How's that not fitting in? Lie number one. Lie number two. She ain't had no drinks in her system. This is what the autopsy report lied about too. They lied about the broken neck. They lied about her not having no drinks in the system. Because I said the same thing. If they was all sipping all night, why she ain't have no drinks in her system? We doubted that from the start. Why didn't she have drinks in her system? Then they started calling Dejanay manly. Her voice was deep like a man. They was trying to taunt a United States person after they took out another United States person. There was a taunting going on. $5,000 if y'all want to take her to the emergency room. They refused. They don't have it. They didn't refuse. They didn't have it. And at the same time, they seen something in the water wasn't right. Let us get up out of here because something ain't seeming right about this. Grab Shanquella bags and let's go. They grab Shanquella bags and go home. The father and the mother and everybody in the United States got an opinion. They say, why didn't they stay with her? They her friends. If they would have stayed with her, could they have been locked up for something they didn't do? Ask yourself this question. Is this why they left? They didn't want to get locked up for something they did not do. The ambulance people, they called her demise around 6 o'clock. Was that a lie too, y'all? Because let me tell y'all something. It seemed like Shanquella was gone way before 6 o'clock. I'm just saying, y'all. It seemed like she was gone way before 6 o'clock. Did everybody play a part? All the people in Mexico, even that reporter that was calling himself, taking all y'all donations. We got to stop being vulnerable, y'all. We do. We have to stop being vulnerable. My Mo3 moment is over, finally. I told y'all my hand was shaking and everything when I saw, ever since I was, woke from that vision of Cabo 6 in the middle of a storm. That's what I saw while I was in the tub, y'all. And I've been shaky ever since I, got up. I laid down and I've been feeling sick. I don't know, have you all ever seen some movies? And I watch a lot of movies, but have y'all seen movies like Ghosts and stuff like that? And, like somebody that passed away walk through you and they will feel weak and sick. Like, that's what I was feeling like. I was feeling like I just been kind of feeling, out of it this morning. Like weak stomach. And now everything's clearing up that I got out what I needed to say to you all. It's cleared up. It did this with Mo3 too. I don't know why. People was like, you having panic attacks, Miss Lowdown. I don't know. But I feel better now that I've gotten it out. But at first I was feeling weak stomach. I was feeling sick. I was feeling like, shaky, like I had to get this information out to you all because it's something more to this than meets the eye. I've been doing stuff by the numbers and doing everybody numerology, trying to figure out where could we go, what is coming up and stuff like that. But now, for this to come up and me to see that storm and Cabo 6 in the middle of that storm and their faces is just swirling around in the storm, it took me here. So like I said, now that I got it out, I'm feeling much better. I'm feeling much better. Even looking at her face, I just feel much better, like a relief off my shoulder right now. I don't know what's to come in this case. I really don't. But we have to keep up with what we're being told, what we have been told already, what we're being told right now, and we have to work with what we got. And we can't let it we can't let this case just die down either, because it's important that we find out what really happened. It really is. And we have to stop being our biggest critics. I've been putting a video talking about the mama, and I'm still gonna talk about the mama because the mama she act a little strange, okay, y'all. The sister seemed like they money hungry. The daddy seemed like he's the one that took care of a lot of stuff, even though we saw him with the bell bracelet and stuff like that, because I really would like, to know why he got on the bell bracelet. I would like to know that. I would like to know, who idea was, the setup for that first interview. Because if we can get past those two questions with him, if I had to pick a side, it would be the father. The father seemed like he was more invested in his daughter. He just seemed to care more. I don't know. I just kind of feel that somewhat. That he seemed to care a little bit more than the mama. It seems like the mama and the sister is for whatever they can get. Now, allegedly, they call themselves about to go try to get a civil lawsuit going. If you have no evidence that's whatsoever, and the autopsy report is not matching up with the evidence that you have on this case, there's no way that you're going to even get a civil lawsuit to go through. It's like it's all about the money with her. It's not about actually getting justice. And that's the sad part about this whole thing with the mother and the sister. And then, all the people that stood by and helped Shanquella, sending in donations and everything that they did to do their part. People, walking and everything out, going to the White House, all this stuff. For the sister to get on social media and say the worst thing that could have happened was, going to the media, and you all were a part of this going to the media. You all wanted this to go to the media. Your friend, the Gerald Jackson guy, was one of the people that was pushing this in the media. And now she's saying that's the worst thing that could have happened. Y'all wouldn't have even got the money that y'all have to even, get duped by, Benjamin Crump, y'all. You wouldn't even have no money to even get duped by them. And I think this is what's bothering them too. That they ended up writing out a nice little check for Benjamin Crump, and it's not much he can do now outside of go dig in, get an investigator to go dig into the maid and stuff like that. And see, you're talking about another country that you could go digging into an organization, and you yourself can come up missing. Okay, so it's a lot of red tape that comes to this whole situation right now. But that's where I would start if it was my family. My whole thing would be digging into who this maid is, all of their connections, the people that wrote out statements. That would be my next area that I would go in. Has people passed away in these villas before? Was this the same maid that found them before? Was they organs missing? Okay, y'all. It's a lot of stuff that you can check into when it comes to stuff like this. And this is where we need to start, because this is where the story started changing at, y'all. This is where it started changing at. If Cabo 6 already knew that Shanquella was already gone, they wouldn't have went out to eat breakfast or whatever. They would have left then. They would have packed their stuff right then and left. Okay? They wouldn't have went out to eat and then, the maid had to go looking for them and find them. They would have been already getting out of that. If they was already scared to tell that they even had a pause session, putting a pause on this girl, then they would have jumped up and packed their stuff and left right away, y'all. Because they were scared. They were trying to get up out of there as fast as possible. Not go and hang out and go eat breakfast and stuff. When they left, I got a feeling that she was alive. I don't know. She was alive, y'all. Anyway, y'all, please like, share, and subscribe if you like this video. And thank you all so much for watching. Peace.